Greetings and salutations, everybody. Welcome in today for the 49th episode of the Podwans podcast. I am your host, Charge RJ, joined by my co-host, Luke.
How's it going, everybody? As you probably could guess, Hereth Productions is not here because
Yes.
he is a guest on Duel of Ranks, which you guys should definitely go subscribe to. Go check out their stuff after you guys are done here. I was on it last week, but I'm here as usual with Char. But
Yeah, so the reason why Hereth is not here is the same reason why Luke was not here last week. So
yes.
that just sums it up. But today we'll be talking about Season 5, Episodes 10, 11, 12, and 13 of the Clone Wars, a.k.a. the D-Squad arc. We're going to see some Meeber Gascon. We're going to see some R2 and his band of buddies. We're going to be seeing some Separatist attacks. We're going to be seeing some clone commandos.
Yep.
A crazy Celestin who works in a diner, and we're going to be seeing a bunch of different characters, and I am excited to cover this, especially with our guests today. So, Luke, are you ready to bring in our people?
Yeah. Give me 1 second.
You never would have made it as Obi-Wan's Padawan, but you might make it as mine.
And we're back. So our first guest today, he has been on quite a bit of shows and roundtables for the Podwans podcast. He has been on the Book of Boba Fett Chapter 5 roundtable. He has been on for Hunt for Zero, Episode 32, Episode 37, the Trandoshan arc, Episode 39, the Shadow Warrior, Episode 43, A Friend in Need, and Episode 48, the Youngling arc. And the first time he was on the show, he was a co-host. He took my place for an episode. It was 21 Senate Murders. Let's bring in Chase at Forward into the Black.
Hello there.
Did you like that rundown?
I loved it. I didn't know I'd been all of those.
Well, now you do. How you doing?
I'm terrible. I've had a migraine all day. I've been puking my guts out for pretty much 12 hours, but heaven nor hell can keep me from D-Squad.
Oh, God. Yeah. When we tell you that he is really excited about this arc, he is really, really excited about this arc.
Yeah, he will. He's got something for the viewers in a little bit. But,
yes.
But before that happens, Chase, where can the good people find you on the social medias?
All over social media at Forward Into the Black, on TikTok, on Twitch, on Twitter, on Instagram, and you can also find me with the Xanatos1138, usually once a month on Rogue Council, talking about Star Wars things like movies.
Awesome. And our second guest today, he has been a longtime friend of ours, and this is the first time he's ever been on the Podwans podcast, surprisingly. And I'm excited for his debut, and it's happening today. Let's bring in Star Wars Scholar.
Hello,
Scholar.
everyone. How are we all doing?
Good. Oh,
Yeah.
Chase, by the way, where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
He already did that.
Did he do
literally
that?
said
Sorry,
right
my
there.
dog's been barking this entire time, and I've been
Yeah.
Forward
trying
Into
to...
the Black.
Okay, there you go. There you go. Scholar, so happy to
Yeah.
have you on. I think you are our second across the pond guest.
Probably.
So
Yeah.
it's great. It's great.
We need more representation, more Irish representation. You know,
I agree. I
'Cause,
agree.
like British people.
Well, yeah, not our
hit
cup
or
of
miss.
tea.
Like,
We
yeah,
like to drink. We like to drink
exactly.
whiskey. We like to drink whiskey.
Exactly.
So that's,
Good Bushmills. Good Bushmills.
yeah, absolutely. We will have a third guest. It's Ven Skywalker. He will be here shortly. He's running a little bit late, but we'll introduce him when he comes in. We're gonna flip things around a little bit. So we're actually gonna start with our segment Star Wars News. I like that, but I think we have to do more of like something Star Wars-ish. We'll have Hereth get something up or something like that. But okay, so on the docket first for Star Wars news, obviously Kenobi Chapter 5 dropped on yesterday. But I haven't talked to either one of you about your thoughts about the show as a whole. What have your guys' thoughts been as a whole on the whole entire show?
Wow. That's most of my thoughts is wow. I've talked to a couple people in depth about some of the things that have gone on. It's very emotional, especially more or less growing up with Hayden Christensen. It's been like I guess spoilers. If you haven't seen episode 5, the literal opening of that of going that no, that's Coruscant. No, and then Attack of the Clones. Hayden just like it was a lot to deal with. I almost paused it, like just like I don't know if I can do it. But it's been amazing. Kenobi, Rogue One, and Solo have made this my favorite time period in Star Wars. The time between the prequels and the originals has become my favorite time. It used to be the Old Republic, but now this like ambiguous time before Luke Skywalker has been just my favorite time to spend in Star Wars.
Nice. Scholar, your thoughts?
Honestly, much the same. Like, because I was born the same year episode 2 came out, so I didn't quite grow up as they came out, but I still grew up like watching the whole complete saga and seeing, again, spoilers, seeing Hayden in that first like 5 seconds. I literally shouted because I wasn't expecting like an episode 2 Anakin, and especially like I was hoping for cameos or like flashbacks, but they did the flashbacks so well, like made it actually matter to what the story they were telling. It was like the best fan service we could have gotten. But I overall think the quality of acting in this series has been probably the highest, I think, out of any of the shows so far, the live action shows. And I think seeing all of them, well, Ewan McGregor and Hayden back on screen, like they've just come back so seamlessly. And the new characters are amazing. Like, I want to see more of them, hopefully, in the live action sphere. They should hopefully get more recognition because obviously Ewan and Hayden are taking all the spotlight. But yeah, very positive so far.
Good. I mean, we only have one more episode, the season finale next week, which I will ask this. Do you guys think we're going to get a season 2?
I think you'll get a spin-off if anything. I don't think they'll do I don't think they'll do a season 2. I don't think they need to do a season 2.
No, I agree.
Season 2 is A New Hope.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, season 2 of Kenobi is very unnecessary, especially with it being a limited series. There's no reason for it to be a season 2 because it's like, we already have we have Kenobi comics coming soon. We got different Kenobi stories. Do we really need a season 2? We would love it. We would very much love it. But I feel like the over-under on that is like 10 yes, 90 0, or none.
I think it's more likely that you'll get a spin-off for the Inquisitorius.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, 100%. I
think whatever they can't round off regarding Obi-Wan's arc does not justify a second season at all. Like, I think they should be able to round it off enough, and like you said, hopefully a spin-off at best, probably.
Or maybe the Kenobi season 2 will be kind of shown in Jedi Survivor. But I mean, it's like
certainly wouldn't complain.
No, yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Fallen Order and Survivor are essentially like your big Inquisitorious stories. So
yeah. Let's go to the chat. Alanis.
Hi, Alanis.
Hold on, sorry. Man, Alanis is here. Pat's here. Kylie is in the background. Thanks. Appreciate it. Obi-Wan Kenobi, he was on last week. Go check out his stuff. St. Pat, thanks for showing up. Alanis again. Obi-Wan stands winning, absolutely. And then Brian with the beard, Brian with the beard bread, man. Thanks for hopping in, everybody.
He's only here for Chase and Scholar, by the way.
I know.
For us.
I understand that. I get that. So, the second bit of news is Taika Waititi was asked about how his writing process and everything is going for his film, and he was quoted as, "I want to make brand new characters, brand new stories. I don't want to have a retashing or have a cameo of, oh, this is Chewbacca's grandmother. Let's just go from there. What are your thoughts? Because I'm really, really excited to see what he does, because he is one of my favorite directors. I mean, he did Jojo Rabbit. He did Thor. He's doing Thor: Love and Thunder and Thor Ragnarok.
He did Ragnarok. Yeah.
He did a couple of episodes of The Mandalorian. So I just feel like he's in a right spot to do Star Wars. But what are your guys' thoughts?
I think if there's any director I would trust to do like new weird stuff, like completely branch out, it's definitely Taika. Because like Thor.
Oh no!
I think he was going to say Ragnarok.
It was a good. All right, so we have to take we have to take a shot.
Because of all the new characters.
We lost you. We lost you
for
rip
15 seconds, but
again,
you're back.
First ball taken. There we go. I was just saying, like, it's like High Republic's my favorite era right now, just because like it introduces so many new characters and like it ties in. Obviously, like there are references, like some references, but it is new in that respect. It is what's in my mind pushing Star Wars forward into the future, because we can't go on for next however many decades doing Vader cameos. Like we just can't. And if there's anyone I trust to like do new wacky stuff on the big screen, it probably is Taika.
Nice.
Yeah. As much as I am loving Kenobi, and I have loved the Book of Boba Fett, and I've loved The Mandalorian, it is time to move on. I think we are at that point. I mean, we're getting like you said, we're getting an Obi-Wan comic. We're getting another Obi-Wan book this year. And we have beat these characters to death for content at this point. And I love them. I know we all love them, but yeah, I'm ready for someone that hasn't even been in a book or a comic before. It's just completely brand new and is facing brand new conflicts and stuff like that. So I'm very excited that that's the direction he's taking it, and hopefully they continue to take it.
Yeah, I mean, nothing's better than getting new characters in Star Wars and having their story be so good. Like, for example, like Iden Versio. She's just a character that was brought in a video game, and she is beloved. And now she's coming back to voice act a character in Tales of the Jedi. I'm not going to specify whom.
Yes.
But yeah, it's just the it's like, whether it be the Glup Shitos or characters that haven't been created yet, we want to know more about them. And it just makes me so happy. And then if it's in the hands of Taika Waititi, who is a very, very like outside of the box kind of director, he could make some stuff happen.
Yep. And I mean, I think that's why Knights of the Old Republic was so successful 20 years ago, is it didn't interfere, it didn't bump elbows with anything you loved about Star Wars, but it was still Star Wars. And that's why it did so well.
No, yeah. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, we're done with the news. Usually we do that at the end of the show, but we're trying something new. We're all here for D Squad.
Always here for D Squad.
D Squad, baby.
D Squad and D
Squad. We've got fun things in store. One of our guests might even have a little PowerPoint. So everybody take notes, do fun things. Sit back and relax. Char, plot summary for the first episode of D Squad.
Okay. All right, Luke, I already promised you this a few days ago, but Godfrey's coming. And this is a long plot summary too, so you're going to get your money's worth, okay?
Yeah.
All right.
You can't screw this up. This is sacred ground we're walking on.
For you, Chase, yes, and for a lot of us.
I'm hovering over the Leaf Studio, so if you mess this up.
Same.
All right. Chapter. I'm still thinking about the Kenobi episode, Chapter 5, Season 5, Episode 10 of the D Squad arc, and also Clone Wars. Secret weapons. Are you ready? Secret transmission intercepted. The Jedi Council has intercepted an encoded transmission of General Grievous. However, Republic intelligence offers have failed to crack the new encryption code being used by the droids. Fears escalate that the Separatists are about to mount a major offensive. Having located the source of the transmission deep in Separatist space, the Jedi plan to counterstrike to capture an enemy decoding chip which will allow them to understand the transmission and thwart the Separatist plot.
Wow.
Minus 10 points for the
I am
stutter.
looking at my.
Am I the only one to plot? No, I think
That
you
was
did
a
good
lot
job.
of reading.
That was awesome. That was
Wow.
awesome.
Oh my
This is
God.
so
But-
aggressive.
So we usually have notes. We do have notes still. But Chase, you brought
Hi.
something with you.
I did. Look at this. Microsoft PowerPoint, the greatest communication tool since the dawn of man, has arrived on us.
For those that are listening to the podcast, I will try to narrate as best as I can.
We
It
have
says T Squad.
we have D Squad, the definitive Clone Wars episodic arc.
All right.
What is D Squad? Now, D Squad consists of the greatest assembly of characters within the Star Wars universe that reflects all themes that make up the story within this incredible universe. I think our first note on this episode will be answered very quickly, but we need to know what a
He's even doing the pose. Oh my God.
Oh my God.
This is great.
Meeber Gascon
Oh,
has the greatest character arc within Star Wars because he goes through incredible change from episode 1 to episode 4 of D Squad, but he never stops being the same person. He is still Meeber Gascon. A lot of characters go through wild changes, but I would say Ahsoka Tano is not the same person she was at the beginning of the Clone Wars to where we are now with the Book of Boba Fett. Luke Skywalker was not the same person that we see at the beginning of Obi-Wan Kenobi to The Last Jedi. Meeber stays true to himself, always.
That's facts. That's facts.
Now, who is the D Squad?
See, that's a question nobody asked.
Nobody asks.
I'm sorry.
We have, first up, everyone knows who this is, R2-D2.
the man, the myth, the legend. Some say
Now-
that he is even like the main character. Of
He
this
is the main character of Star Wars through in and throughout. Now, in the first episode, all of the droids get a major tactical upgrade.
Mhm.
And R2 gets his advanced rocket boosters, which we will touch on as to why the D Squad sets the pace and course for the rest of Star Wars here on out. And he is also secretly running D Squad. Don't ever forget that.
Okay.
I just love that Chase is running this
take
show.
notes,
Me and Luke
take
are
notes.
just taking a break.
Take
This is
notes.
great.
Yeah. Next we have QTKT. Fantastic. What a great character. She is the heart of D Squad, and she is upgraded with magnetic coils, which comes in clutch 5 times throughout the entire series of this arc. This is at least the most feminine looking of D Squad. As we see, George Lucas very much loves to conform to gender norms and just made a pink R2-D2. But we don't hear anyone talk, so we don't want to assume anything. But QTKT is one of my favorites. Not my favorite, but one of them. Of course, U9C4, the powerhouse of D Squad. Gets built in with a laser cutter that he does not know how to control at all. But he's so good. He's such a pivotal member of D Squad. There's always a little bit of hesitation with him locking down his magnets. He never wants to do it. It almost costs him his life towards the end of D Squad, but of course he is saved. But we can't forget about the sacrifices that have been made from D Squad, M5BZ, the battle station of our Lord and Savior Meever Gascon. And he was just hollowed out and had his memory banks wiped, and he became the overall martyr of D Squad. Words cannot be said how important his sacrifice was to Star Wars as a whole. And I hated to see him go. When I rewatched it, it was Obi-Wan Kenobi has nothing over BZ.
Wow.
Then of course we have Whack 47, the pit droid with the voice. he didn't have any upgrades because any modifications would have been considered a downgrade to him. He was essentially made in the model of Meber Gascon. He was made as perfection. But yeah, let's get into the first episode.
So you're telling me there's more?
There's plenty more.
Oh, yes. Okay. This is actually super amazing that we're just changing the format of this arc only because it's D Squad, and Chase has this creative idea that this PowerPoint will just get the flow going.
Meber spoke to me.
Podcast has been building up to this point.
After
this point, it just kind of flatlines.
Yeah, I figured you guys would cancel the podcast after.
Yeah, I mean, add some flair, add some humor to the show, and it's new. We've never had a PowerPoint presentation on any of our shows before.
So as he starts talking about episode 1, secret weapons, the moral of this episode is humility is the only defense against humiliation. Okay, so Chase brought up a lot of good points about the creator George Lucas. He has been stated, and he has said that this is his favorite arc, or one of the favorite arcs of the Clone Wars. Why do you think he loves it so much?
Here, let me hold on. Let me remove the thing real quick, and then I'll bring it back in when time comes.
That's good.
All right, I'll go first. Sorry. So I think, honestly, I'm very generous with this arc. Like, all jokes aside, I do think it's heavily underrated. I think George Lucas likes this so much because it's genuinely like a microcosm of kind of everything I think he wanted Star Wars to be. Like, it's just stupid, goofy, but it still has like genuine moral lessons. It still has heart to it. Like, you can joke about Meber Gascon, he does have a good arc, or at least he comes to an arc of like kind of self-indulgence and being selfish, so like generally caring about these droids who originally didn't really care for at all. It's hopeful in the end, like, because they're all underdogs. Like, Meber Gascon's size gets joked about quite a lot, but ends up his size is crucial to the mission. Like, whatever was thought to be a bit of a downgrade, I guess, was pivotal. Like, all our little quirks and stuff are very important and shouldn't be looked aside. And I think that plays into the kind of underdog story that he very much liked to tell.
Yeah, no, I 100% agree. I mean, if we look at Anakin, Luke, and Rey, and how all of them in a way kind of come from nothing and go to everything, we kind of see that with basically every character in D Squad. You see it with Meber. It doesn't necessarily come from nothing, but he's looked down upon literally because of his size, but he becomes larger than life, and we see all of these droids kind of like, with the exception of Whack, they don't say anything, and we see them all develop. We see them bond and grow, and they save the day multiple times. Like, they literally save Anakin and Obi-Wan at the very end, and then we get characters like Gregor, who, like, again, just goes from a guy who doesn't remember anything about the Clone Wars. He's on this really weird void of a planet washing dishes, to realizing he's the greatest clone of all time. And yeah, so I mean, I think that's exactly why he loves it. Is it's everything Star Wars is about in the most unexpected way.
Uh-oh.
Can we ban Pat? Is that possible? Are you allowed to ban people in the chat?
Yeah,
room?
my respect kind of dropped a bit.
I can put him in timeout.
I'd appreciate that.
I think.
Okay. I will note that. Haley?
She does not get a timeout.
Correct opinion.
She's trying to make face, apparently.
Yeah.
Alana says Meber, it was the blueprint for Agent Callus.
Nope, that's not
Actually.
right.
Well, I mean, it's not one of my facts, but this was a fact that I found, that Meber Gascon was one of the concept designs for Jar Jar Binks.
For Jar Jar, yeah.
Yeah.
I could see that.
So I mean, not Agent Callus, but another beloved character, another Glepshita.
So, speaking of what Chase was talking about, where we don't get a whole lot of speaking in this arc because they are droids, but they do have that kind of interaction that we see with C-3PO and R2 throughout the original trilogy and throughout that comment just threw me off. Sorry. But throughout the entire saga. Now, here's the other question. What do you think this arc does to show the sentient nature of droids in Star Wars, and why is it so important to show that?
I would make the argument that droids are often misrepresented, intentionally misrepresented in Star Wars. They're usually viewed as like almost a lower class. We've seen it in Kenobi in the first
and we've seen it in A New Hope too.
Yeah.
With the cantina.
We see that no droids allowed. They're basically they're to Owen they're a commodity, but Luke sees a little bit more in the droids than Owen does, and so I think it's really important to see that like these are characters, like each one of these droids has their own personality. They're all roughly shaped the same, but they all kind of have their own little nuances to them. Wack obviously is a speaking droid. But like he's a rebellious droid. He wants to do things his way. He wants to take charge in his own special way. So I think it's just so cool to see that. And it's like they basically only ever go up against droids themselves. So there's very little sentient interaction up until this third episode with this arc. So I think it's really cool. Like it's such an awesome way to tell a story.
Yeah, I think one of the funniest moments in this arc was when Whack 47 was talking to Mace Windu, and he was like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I'm late. I thought I had to go to the Jedi storeroom." And then he walked up to Mace Windu, and Mace Windu's extremely serious as he always is. And then he's like, "Hello, General," and then he's just like, "Fall in line." And then he's like, "All right."
So good.
I just love the personality of droids. Droids are such an essential part of Star Wars, and that's what makes Star Wars the way it is that these characters, they might not have a soul or have a life, but they create their own life in a way. It's, you relate to them, but it's so hard to, because they're not an existing being. But like their purpose and what they do to enhance the main characters, it's super essential to Star Wars. And that, characters like K2SO, why do we like K2SO? Is it because of his humor? Is it because of his role with the rebellion and Cassian Andor? Like, there's so many droids that have such a bigger purpose than just being droids and just being bigger than their programming. So I think that's one thing that we really learn in this arc.
I also think, considering when this arc came out, like at this point, really the only really humanized droids we had was really R2 and C3PO. To be honest, like before that, there wasn't really anything. After that, obviously, as you're saying, K2. If you want to look at Rebels, Chopper, obviously, and I forget the name, but like the Imperial, what do you call it, server droid that like joined the Rebels, like that one got humanized a bit, but
You mean AP5?
AP5. Thank you.
Yeah, AP5. Yeah.
But like, apart from that, because you were saying about Wack, obviously Wack can speak, he's able to vocalize his personality, but like for the astromechs, I again can't remember the name of droid. I called the Death Star droid, the one with the laser cutter, because it looks like a Death Star beam.
Oh yeah.
But you can tell, like, even in its, I'm gonna say body language, droid language, part language, it's just whenever it first uses the laser cutter, like in the first episode, like it just forgets to lock down, so it just flies around everywhere. And it's just, you can tell it's clumsy, but it's just those little things humanize it. And it's not like, oh, this droid follows programs because it's a robot. It's like it's given human emotions and faults, which allows to relate to it. Makes mistakes, which helps with the slapstick. L3 as well. Good point.
Yeah, L3 is
like,
great.
D Squad, it paved the way a bit, like for the future droids, because we've gotten a lot more of that now, thankfully.
Yeah, I'd say original trilogy and prequel trilogy, like you said, we had R2 and C3PO, and then like you would have like a server droid, or you'd have like a droid with a very specific task, and that's all they ever fulfilled. And since this, like, we've gotten lots and lots of droids with a lot of personality. Even in books, like we have Mr. Bones, filling that void. You have IDO and an Alphabet Squadron that's like a torture droid turned therapy droid. Dio is amazing.
And Ned B.
Yeah.
Ned B from Kenobi.
Yeah, it's like when
not
you
a whole
see
not a whole lot of
God,
talking, but
yeah.
all of his actions
Holding the hammer
are
behind his back, like he's so
BD1,
good.
Fallen Order.
I just find it so cool to contrast in Star Wars when you see a droid that can't go inside a cantina, and it's like, what makes us love BB-8 so much? What makes us love R2 so much? What makes them stand out to us? That's like, is it because of their sassy nature? Is it because of like how much they help our main characters? Is it just because of like the stuff that they do just casually? But they're such an important part of the story. Like Dio, for example, like we're gonna be learning more about Dio and pretty soon with Shadow of the Sith. But his character in episode 9, it's like he's only there for a little bit, but he just stole the show.
Yep.
Said, no, thank you.
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, it's more for the live action stuff. Like it's something that, like, I mean, Jim Henson perfected, is like taking an inanimate object and making it like a living thing. And so like the puppeteers behind the droids that we have now have brought those things. Like BB-8 like comes to life. Dio comes to life, and they're just little puppets for the most part.
Yeah.
And I think it's like props to them, kind of, again, for D-Squad definitely paved the way for a large plethora of droid content, but I mean, those puppeteers paved the way for all this stuff to be happening. So, like, I think droids are one of the coolest parts. Like, you get robots a ton in science fiction, but I don't think they're this personality filled in any other media.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Back to your PowerPoint, Chase.
Yeah, so let's just go over a few things in episode 1. I think it's great that synergy is achieved with the droids right off the bat. I think that's something that, kind of like what we were just talking about, is like the personality being formed with these droids, but also like you see they're working together immediately. And then we have, I think this show opens up the potential for a extreme makeover for droids on Disney Plus, because of our lovely doctor in the beginning having his mad scientist surgery. I think we can have his own spin-off show where we just take some droids we've seen in the background and then making them larger than life.
Or we need that incorporated in the Disney parks.
Yeah, so wait, hold on. Is it? Are you saying that is just the droid story?
Yeah, yeah. Well, no, I think more like it should just be a reality TV show on Disney Plus.
Okay.
Which I'm trying to remember the doctor's name. Is it Dr.
Gubbacher? Yeah.
Gubbacher? Yeah.
And but great point, Charlie. Obi-Wan and Anakin would be dead if it wasn't for him. Had he not done the modification to R2, R2 would have not been able to save them in Revenge of the Sith. So be thankful for D-Squad. And also, Meebert Gascon in this episode absolutely dethrones Sebulba for the hottest character. And with that, I think we can move on to episode 2.
All right. Char, episode
I have to go
2.
from that to Gottfried? What?
No, you don't have to do Gottfried. You don't have to do Gottfried.
You do regular.
Do regular.
Oh, did you guys not like it?
No, it was good. It was good, but like
we need you to last through the episode.
We need you to yeah, exactly.
Did you tell me I stuttered?
There was a stutter. You stuttered on the word Republic.
I mean, if I didn't like it, it would have been gone by now. So I think you're okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
James Earl Jones.
Yeah.
Come on. All right. This one's actually really short, so let me do Gottfried, okay?
All right, fine. If you want to.
All right. The next one I won't. All right. Season 5, episode 11, A Sunny Day in the Void. Secret weapons! The Jedi Council deploys a squad of droids on a desperate mission aboard a Separatist cruiser. Under the guidance of Colonel Meebert Gascon, the droids succeed in stealing a crucial encryption module. Now the Colonel and his droid squad must return the module to the Jedi Temple to crack a Separatist code detailing an impending terror plot against the Republic. That's done.
That's good.
You stuttered again, but
that's okay. We don't discriminate against speech impediments and stuff like that.
Hey, it's okay, Chase. Your worst enemy is running me on. So,
okay.
All right. So, this episode's moral is: when all seems hopeless, a true hero gives hope, which is very, very important because a certain droid ends up being very much the savior of this whole thing, and it's Whack. Whack. He does an amazing job with helping even Meeber Gascon, who's down on his luck, who thinks that he's not going to survive. Whack always seems to have the answer to, hey, if we try this, or like let's like he just keeps persevering. Whack is called just a pilot, and yet is one of the most pivotal members of D Squad. Why do you think they make this emphasis that he's just a pilot and nothing more?
By Char. I think it's good that they drill it in. I do love the name of this episode, A Sunny Day in the Void. But I think him being like just a pilot means he always has something to prove, especially to Meeber. And I think their relationship in this, as the two main speaking characters in this arc, really develops because he thinks so lowly of the droids, and especially Whack, who is literally driving him insane. And that we basically get the light side version of Pong Krell in this episode, where like he goes from like they're just these hunks of metal and wiring. They don't matter. If we lose one, it's fine. That who cares? To literally, they do lose one, and it clearly affects him. And so he is like that. Like goes from doesn't respect them to he will serve with them basically in perpetuity. So I think it's good that it helps drive that relationship between Whack and Meeber.
Chase, you bring up a really good point too. I remember that. Which episode was it where R2 was presumed missing, and Anakin got a replacement droid, R3S6, and he was extremely upset about it because he knew how reliable R2 was, but to most people, their astromechs are kind of expendable if they do come to a point where they're destroyed. So they just get replaced like without any hesitation. But when R3 comes in the mix, Anakin still understands that R2 is a very important droid, and that it's more than just a bucket of metal, and that R2 is essentially Anakin's best friend.
With that, we got Ven.
What's up,
Ben? How's it going?
Thanks for joining us for D Squad. You missed. You'll get to see the PowerPoint in a second. But where can the good people follow you on the social medias, real quick?
You guys can find me on TikTok, Twitter, Instagram as Ben_Skywalker. Same name across the board.
If you want good looks at lightsabers, lightsaber combat, breakdowns of all lightsaber stuff, definitely go to Ven. He's one of my favorite follows for that type of stuff. So definitely hang that up. But Ven, so we're in episode 2 now. You missed the first one, which it's been pretty impressive so far.
Gotcha.
So the question was, we have an emphasis on Whack just being called a pilot, and yet he's one of the most pivotal members of the D Squad. Why do you think that they make an emphasis on him just being a pilot and nothing more?
That's a good question. I'm trying to remember who Whack was.
Whack's the pilot.
Whack's the pit droid. Yeah.
Whack's the pit droid. Gotcha.
How could you forget? The D Squad's gone.
Gotcha. If I'm not mistaken, is he only just programmed as a pilot? So like with droids, like I guess they're not looked like as anything more as far as like what they're programmed to do, I take it.
Yeah.
Or if I'm not mistaken. It's been a while since I've seen the arc, but
yeah, absolutely. Chase.
More points.
What's up?
You kind of explain what Wax. Well, didn't you just answer it? No, Scholar.
Scholar.
Yeah. Go ahead and answer. Give us your thoughts.
So I think similar to what Chase was saying earlier, just the pilot. It's like double-edged in the sense of how the rest of the squad sees him at the beginning, as well as how Wack probably sees himself. Because, like, I think the whole mission was very much banking on the astromechs. That's certainly what Meeber Gascon was thinking. That's why they got all the upgrades, I think. And they were just like, you just need to fly us there and they will do the job. And Wack wants to do more. Like, he wants to have his moment. But I think he has the doubts and he wants to prove himself to, like, prove to Meeber, but also prove to himself that he is just more than a pilot. And I think if you want to look at life, like, we all have our doubts about what we're doing. I think sometimes we just need to kind of keep pushing, even when everyone else is virtually given up in the situation. You know, it just takes that perseverance, and eventually you break through, you get lucky. It works out.
No, yeah, definitely. Char. Oh, I picked him at the wrong time. Your thoughts on Wack and why they emphasize that he's just a droid or just a pilot?
Well, at that point in time, I was thinking, like, do each droid have their own specific duty to the squad? Like, does Wack have the piloting capabilities? Does R2 have the flying capability? Like, they were planning ahead for getting on the Separatist ship and getting the encryption module. So obviously QT had the magnetic core, R2 had this, BZ had this. Like, they all have, I feel like they all had their separate duty. And then I feel like Wack got the short end of the stick, but he was able to serve some kind of purpose to the group. It's like everyone's doing little pieces of the puzzle to create the whole puzzle as one. So I think with Wack being the pilot, essentially, I think it's like, because Wack is very overconfident. He's like, because, like, when they get to Abafar, he's like, all right, I'm in charge now, everyone follow me. So I feel like that kind of balances out his cockiness a little bit, with him being like getting the short end of the stick, but also him being like the one that feels like he's in charge because he has arms and legs. So other than Meeber, but yeah, I mean, that's my thoughts.
No, yeah. I think it's very interesting that they just paint him as a pilot. But speaking of Brooke B. Dazzler, let's shout out her shop, Far Far Away Factory. If you want cool merch shit from DC, Marvel, and specifically Star Wars, she is an amazing place to go get your stuff. She does custom stuff. She did my custom Jordan Darth Vader shoes. She has done the Brotherhood t-shirt. She's got a whole bunch of stuff. So farfarawayfactory.com, Far Far Away Factory on Etsy. But let's go to the website. Let's get stuff from the website. That'll help her out a lot more. But you can follow her at _B Dazzler_ on TikTok, Far Far Away Factory on Instagram. And that is our spiel. Brooke, thank you for always supporting us, and we will always support you. But now time for the PowerPoint presentation. Now
All
back
right.
to the good stuff.
I think there's one thing we kind of did miss, and it's a really important quote. Life is a void. It's the quote that Meeber kind of gives to Wack when they're on their own and separated. And the conversation they have there while he's going insane, like, genuinely is such an interesting conversation that kind of will bleed into the next episode. But he's at like a point of hopelessness, and they have this conversation about programming versus training, and how it's really just two perspectives on the same thing. As it's like, oh, you're a droid, you're just programmed to do this. And he's like, well, you're just trained to do this. How is that any different? So I think that's a really, really interesting conversation that is very deep, that you don't expect in something like this, where I think it is overall a pretty lighthearted series of episodes. It's not like we're dealing with Anakin struggling with the dark side. We're not dealing with, pirates or anything like that. It's pretty tame for the most part, except for like a few separatist droid attacks. But also, the creamsicle planet was only bested by the Red Velvet planet in The Last Jedi. Which brings me on to a subplot. We've had enough desert planets. Let's get more dessert planets in Star Wars.
Let's make that petition.
That's a good
Let's
point.
get it.
Yeah, like
Yeah.
Tatooine, Jakku, the planet that I can remember from Lost Stars that Sienna and Thane are from. It's another desert planet.
Jelucan.
Yeah, the Pasana. Like we've had it with the deserts. Let's bring more deserts in. And also, those aren't comets. That was a Purgle mating ritual.
Oh man.
That's your
okay.
interesting fact for this episode.
Oh.
And I'm not a furry, but those birds did something for me.
Oh,
You're really digging this hole. Like, fair play.
Yeah. Let's move on to
Oh,
missing
my.
in action.
Oh my god. All right. Well, we'll go to episode 3. We'll pull the PowerPoint back up. But Char?
Me? Yeah. All right. So the plot summary for season 5, episode 12, Missing in Action. I am not going to do any more Gottfried. That was the 2 Gottfrieds you got. That's it. All right. Stranded. On a secret mission for the Republic, Colonel Gascon and his intrepid droid squad successfully steal an encryption module from a Separatist ship. During their escape, our heroes crash on the outer rim planet of Abafar and find themselves stranded in the strange wasteland called the Void. Now, after surviving against all odds, our heroes must find a way home and deliver the encryption module to crack the Separatist code and stop an enemy attack.
Nice, Char. Very, very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, where's Hereth to grade me? Where's Hereth? Oh, yeah, he's not here.
He's ranking on Duel of the Ranks right now. Right now, he will be with us shortly. So the moral: a soldier's most powerful weapon is courage. So
Yeah, I know. I've seen Saving Private Ryan. Yeah, I can see that.
good movie. One of my top 5 movies of all time, actually.
Nice.
So we get introduced to Clone Commando Gregor. We first get introduced to him in a diner where he's serving food with a
No,
Sultan.
he's a dishwasher.
Oh yeah, he's a dishwasher, but he does all these other things. But his story is very, very fascinating when we first see him. He goes from a dishwasher server to the badass clone commando that we eventually see at the end of this episode. So now talking about Gregor. Gregor has had one of the most interesting lives of all the clones. How did his time on the Void contribute to his story?
I love Gregor with all my heart. When we are done with this, I have quite a long spiel about Gregor and the Clone Wars as a whole. But I think Gregor is so interesting because he's so far removed from everything that's still going on. He loses his memory, and he removes himself, not by choice, like as a soldier, and he doesn't know anything besides washing dishes at this point. Brooke, you are so right. Oh my god. Why did he shave? But no, I think his time on Abafar in the Void is more or less like him being kind of like what that conversation they had in the previous episode about like life being a void. You're basically in a prison of your own mind, and he's literally in a world with seemingly no escape. And so it just keeps that like going permanently for him, that he's never going to get out of here. He's always going to be a dishwasher. He doesn't know who he is or where he's from, but this is it. This is all he's ever going to amount to. But we know he's so much better than that. And not even just like he's a badass. Like he looks at this one guy who's less than a foot tall and these 5 droids that are helping him out. And he's like, I'm going to give everything for them because I know it's the right thing to do, which who else would do that? Like very few people would ever even consider doing that. So like I love Gregor as a character so much.
Absolutely. Scholar.
I mean, Chase basically just stated my point perfectly, but I think Gregor's courage to link back to the moral, it's kindness, because even when he has his memories wiped, he just sees Meeber and Wack just chilling in an alleyway. They look like they need help, and he just offers it because he's a good person. And once the snowball starts rolling, like, he's willing to sacrifice his life for them. At least it looks like he dies. But for these people, he's known for like hours, if even, just because he knows, as Chase said, it's the right thing to do. But in many ways, courage is, or being courageous is being kind. So, yeah.
Absolutely. Ven, what are your thoughts on Gregor and his character and what we see in this particular episode?
Yeah, I agree with Scholar and Chase, because doing like offering, like showing courage and like you guys said, kindness, and just offering it to like someone you barely know, that's not exactly something like you can teach. It's just something that like is in you, like no matter like who you are or like how you're brought in, like whether you're like programmed for a certain role or anything. That's just showing like just being like a decent like being itself. It's very yeah, I don't know how to explain it, but again, it's not exactly something you can teach. It's just like who you are. And then like and then basically like him going from like this amnesiac dishwasher to like the guy we will eventually know later on. It's I think it gives him like new perspective, like from his time in the void up until like later on, like basically just how like I don't know, like if he ever meets anyone like in a similar like situation or path as him, like he'll know like how to help him out basically. At least that's what my headcanon is, because eventually he does, I'm sure, well, spoilers for anyone who hasn't seen it, but eventually he does make it back to the army. And I can't imagine that, like, especially going back into service and being sent like everywhere, like there's no way you're not gonna see like somebody or something in like a similar like way that you were. And then basically like gives them a chance to like pay that kindness forward anyway and help them like find their home again, just like him basically.
No, yeah, that's so totally true, and it does give him a little bit more perspective than other clones, because he did have a life, from what he knew was just a dishwasher. Like he didn't know anything like that, so it kind of gives him the more humility to kind of maybe relate to other beings and stuff like that. So it was great. The void is very much like Jack Sparrow trapped in Davy Jones' locker. Absolutely. I think that's kind of what they got from that for sure. Char, your thoughts?
Well, Gregor, I love that he's just there, and then Meeber and R2 happen to just stumble across him while they were around a bunch of garbage, and they're just looking for food. And Gregor's just like, I don't know what's going on. And then Meeber's like, you are a clone. And then I love that way he goes and he asks Borkus, like, I was called a clone. I have no idea what that means, but I just found that out today. And Borkus is like, you, no more questions. Just go home. Go get some rest. But he's just here. And then hearing how he ended up there too at the end of this episode it's super super sad too, hearing the events of what happens at the Battle of Sarish, and that it was one of the biggest Republic losses of all time. And just hearing him talking about how there were so many of his fellow comrades just lying on the ground, and that he just had to withstand all of that. And as he was depicted as someone who had amnesia and didn't remember, that battle was what triggered that sense of memory, which brought him back to what he was.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Alana says it gives me the alone scene with Squidward. I mean, that's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair. Speaking of Borkus, How does Borkus represent a small evil in the galaxy? How is his role different from the Separatists, or are they the same?
I feel like Chase
Borkus,
has that answer.
yeah, Borkus is interesting. Borkus is, I think that question is really good because it's a small evil in the galaxy. You know, he's not a good person, you know, but he's really more or less just looking out for himself. And he's definitely isolated himself on Abafar, but it's one of those things that's like, we all know that Borkus is not alone in this behavior. And so it's these small evils that are obviously pocketed throughout the galaxy. We see it here on Earth constantly. You know, we've all had that boss, right? Or that, you know, that mentor that just didn't do it right. And so, but we know that is like has like a ripple effect. Like there's so many bad people doing this that it affects everything. And it definitely, I think it's different from the Separatists because he thinks that he's alone in this. Like, oh, it doesn't matter, you know, I'm just a small person running a restaurant. It's like, no, it makes a difference, and all people like Borkus make that difference up. And the Separatists is just this huge government entity that is screwing everything up left and right for everyone. So yeah, it's just like, it's almost like a third player of like this independent evil percolating through the galaxy.
I find it so funny because when I was just rewatching the arc today, I was trying to take Borkus seriously because I know that he's a very bad person, but his name is awfully close to Porkins, and it just made me laugh all the time. Because like how do you? It's like Borkus and Porkins, and he's just like this Russian Celestin dishwasher, and this guy that runs a diner. He's a bit of an a-hole, but man, it's just so funny. Just saying his name, just say it like 100 times, and you just can't. You just won't get used to it.
You'll eventually slip up and just devolve into Porkins, one way or
another. Brooke says,
well, I imagine Porkins went to Borkus's diner one time. I mean, not implying anything there.
Maybe. Ven, your thoughts on Borkus?
Yeah, so his like small evil, because like he basically just used Gregor for like his own gain, or like no matter like how small or menial it may be. But if you really think about it, like Gregor is like this extremely talented warrior for obvious reasons. I imagine like the clone commandos are like the equivalent to like special forces, like the SEALs or Delta squads, or anything you could think of. So that means like with Gregor at it, by keeping Gregor like for himself, he's basically like robbing like the Republic of like an extra hand, because these like I said, these soldiers are extremely capable, and like they can save like as many as like 10, 20, hundreds of lives. So like just imagine like how many more like civilians could have been saved, or like clone brothers that could have come back home if Gregor like was there with them. So Borkins is like, I see Borkins' actions as like a little ripple effect. Like you throw a little pebble into a river, like no matter how small it is, it'll still create ripples throughout like the entire river, which will have an effect. Like it won't be immediate, but if you look down like the history of like whatever event you're looking at, you'll see that like it adds up. Like 10 lives that could have been saved become 20, 30, and so on. So like just imagine like all the good like that could have been accomplished had he like rehabilitated Gregor and sent him back to where he was supposed to be.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting way to think about it. Absolutely, it's a great way to think about it. Scholar.
Yeah, I think for the purpose of this story, Gregor and Borkus are very thematically opposites, because as we were discussing earlier, Gregor, first time he sees someone in need, doesn't matter who it is, he goes to help them. But Borkus is the entire opposite, where he sees Gregor in need and his first instinct is to exploit him in the state, make him a dishwasher, not tell him anything about his past, regardless of him clearly being a very skilled warrior. And I think Ven's analogy there is perfect, and not like just those little bits, like evil acts, those very cruel, I would say, acts, like they do have a ripple effect, and they can lead to more and more just badness, and just kind of perpetuates this cycle of just not very nice actions or people. But regarding the Separatists, it's like very different when the Separatists are just the big evil. Obviously, they're trying to blow up this entire conference, but it's like, if you look at it, it's a still small evil. You still need to kind of think about it, take it out, like try to stop it, because that's what allows the big evil to happen as well.
No, yeah, absolutely. Well said. Well said, both of you. Chase, did you answered it right? I don't know what's going on with me.
Yeah.
But I am just like all over the place. It's just because D Squad. I tell
You're
you
just
what.
so excited. You're just so excited,
absolutely, absolutely. Char, your thoughts on Borkus?
Well, I already made fun of him for having a similar name to Porkins. So, and that I can't get over the fact that that Borkus is this Russian Celestin diner owner.
Yeah.
And it's so funny because I see, like, it's such a weird comparison, but imagine at the end of Empire Strikes Back, Borkus is Vader and Luke is Gregor. And then he's just like, why didn't you tell me? Why didn't you tell me? And I'm like, well, obviously he's greedy. He wants, to just people to forget about what's going on beyond them and just focus on him. And he's like, live a life where it's simple. And he's like, simple isn't good enough. And I'm like, that is such a good quote. It's just especially with like the life that he's living. He's essentially a slave to Borkus. He just found him, and then he just technically just claimed ownership over him. And I'm like, that's crazy. I'm glad that he it's like we talk a lot about clone individuality, but this is like a whole other level of clone individuality. It's very similar to Cut LaQuaine.
Yep.
And he's not a part of the military anymore, but he's finding individuality on his own.
Mm-hmm.
And it's I don't know, I just kind of relates with both Cut and Gregor, because they're not a part of the military anymore, but we talk about individuality within the army rather than outside of the army more often than none. So
yeah, absolutely.
I'm still alive.
Hello there.
Hereth has come back.
I've returned to the Republic, like Gregor should.
Love the enthusiasm in Luke's voice there.
Well,
Luke is so happy this episode. I can tell.
No, it's like it's great. So back to the PowerPoint, ladies and gentlemen.
Yay! I got back to the PowerPoint. Let's go.
You're getting to the very end of it.
It's a great system, though. I love it.
It works really well.
That's the best part of it, though. It works really well.
I don't want this to be a static discussion. This should be more dynamic. So I do have an issue with this episode in particular.
Impossible. Perhaps the archives are incomplete.
And since I know that some people might be listening to this, I'm just going to read this passage out. Are you telling me that the best prequel era video game, Star Wars Republic Commando, features the best kind of clone trooper, and they made a whole animated TV show about clone troopers, and it takes them 100, yes, I counted, 100 episodes to get a clone commando, and no, Hereth, them carrying a coffin doesn't count. This show tortures you for 99 episodes of Anakin Skywalker being the good guy with these Darth Vader moments that make middle school bullies look like they're the scourge of the galaxy, and then shows us clones who get shot by B-1 battle droids nonstop. These are the same droids that Jar Jar Binks tripped over and took out an entire legion of, not to mention that D-Squad themselves regularly dispatches dozens of these droids as though it was some mild inconvenience that they were there. Meanwhile, Gregor over here saves and redeems the whole show in the span of 7 minutes by being the ultimate clone trooper who can only assume is dripping in I can only assume that he hit himself over the head after the Battle of Sarish to forget about all the weak baby clones he was dealing with nonstop. I hate this show sometimes.
So it's not so much
move
the
on to
problem.
episode 4.
Wait, so do you think that you have a problem
Man.
with the show or a problem with the arc?
I have a problem with the show.
Okay.
man.
100 episodes to get a
Okay.
cool clone commando.
Did I just?
Because I kind of confused it. I thought maybe you didn't like the this
My
one part of the arc.
I
but
love
was like,
this.
impossible.
It's Gregor just being like, oh yeah, I don't have amnesia anymore. I'm gonna go murder 1,000 droids by myself.
He doesn't miss a shot.
Never.
Literally doesn't miss a shot.
Literally perfect.
Oh my god.
I just went from Duel of the Rings hot takes to this hot take. What is going on?
That's not hot. This isn't a hot take. That's facts. Okay.
It's objective fact.
God. Jesus. Wow, man.
Okay.
Good night. I hope who? I mean, I'm just speechless now. Okay? I'm speechless.
Yeah, this is the Clone Wars, not the baby wars.
Anyway.
I hate that I didn't realize that until you pointed it out. 99
No Clone Commandos
episodes.
until this episode.
Jeez.
There's the one episode, Hereth, that you pointed out last night. I appreciate it, but it is literally Clone Commandos looking super badass as they always do, and they're like, "Here's a dead Jedi,"
Yeah.
and then we don't see him again until this episode.
I
And
feel
it's
that.
just
I feel
one.
I feel like that's fair, Chase, because look at what they did. They had somewhat cool ARC troopers in the 2003 Clone Wars, and they were sort of like the precursor to the Clone Commandos, but like they were like those. That's what I would have wished that we would have seen more of.
If you haven't played like the Republic Commando game, like you should, because like it's a really good game in general, but it's like it makes the clones feel like a team. Like the squad that you follow in that game is like really, really tight. They all have their own personalities, but they're all badass, and they also make some of the droids way more terrifying. So it's like,
Yeah.
I get that there was a younger audience involved, but like, come on, Clone Commandos are so cool.
No, they are. Sorry to cover Ben, but Haley, petitions for more PowerPoints on Pod One's podcast. I am not clever enough to make up something this fantastic, so I'm gonna have to say it's gonna be a no for me, dog.
It's not.
It's gonna be a no. It's gonna be a no for me, dog.
Only for
podcast.
special arcs, like
Yes.
these squads 1 in a million. Like there isn't another arc like it. But, maybe
kinda-
the Jar Jar Mace Windy arc. I think that deserves a PowerPoint.
And
That's
guess who else
definitely
is
deserves.
on for that?
I'll think about it.
Oh man.
Oh, come on.
man.
You got to
You
do it again.
You got to. So episode 4, Point of No Return. Char, hit us with the plot.
That is
summary.
me. Okay. So let's move to the final episode of this. Wait, what was that? What was that reaction, Hereth?
I was saying, are we getting? Were we getting Go for Godfrey? Or are we getting?
No, you
Tom
missed-
Kane?
No, you
missed
missed.
it.
Don't forget, you missed.
No!
I did 2 episodes of just pure Gottfried.
How
You did the wrong
dare
show.
you?
No,
You
we
did
did
the wrong show,
all
man.
of us were doing Gilbert Godfrey voices. We all like gave our answers in Gilbert Godfrey voices. You
Did
missed
we? Did I miss Carl Weathers? Did I at least miss?
Yeah.
that? Why the hell? This is a loss.
You
Okay.
did the wrong show. What
Yeah.
can I say?
Yeah,
But, Char, go ahead.
All right. The final episode of this arc, Season 5, Episode 13, Point of No Return. Mission accomplished. Colonel Gascon and his droid squad steal an encryption module needed to crack a Separatist code and stop an impending attack on the Republic. After surviving the void and escaping the hostile planet of Abafar, our heroes finally appear to be headed in the right direction.
Nice.
There we go.
Nice. Oh wait. What is that? A 1?
Yeah, I'm giving him a 1. That's the worst one I've ever heard in this entire show.
Wow.
a lot of energy, but I will.
Okay. All right. I don't know if that's a fair. That's not fair because he gave it his all for Gilbert
Luke.
Godfrey the last 2 episodes.
Luke.
Yes.
So we're over here. We're getting this masterpiece of a PowerPoint from Chase. We're all vibing, and then Hereth wants to come in here right before my final plot summary and give me a 1. Wow. If that ain't a buzzkill, I don't know what is. Come on, man.
Oh man, that's funny.
It's delicious to try. Sorry, I'm better than this. Also, this has been my thing. Also, I haven't been here for the other three. This is just what I'm hearing for the fourth one, Char. So get it right.
Yeah, I mean, so
Alright.
yeah, when I mentioned earlier that Hereth is my harshest critic, yeah, there you go. There
We
you
all
go.
get why. Yeah.
So, as the last episode of this amazing arc,
Yeah,
the
you had to say it
moral of
twice.
the moral of the story is you must trust in others or success is impossible. So basically, we see the difference in this show quite often between the Republic and Separatists, but specifically, what are the differences between Republic and Separatist droids? Sorry.
So before you ask that question, the moral you must trust in others or success is impossible. Essentially, Among Us. All right.
Oh Jesus. But what is the difference between Separatist droids and Republic droids? Chase.
Oh, okay, fine. Yeah, I think what we see with the Separatist droids, like let's just look at the B1 battle droids and then like the super battle droids, is they each have a collective personality. Like the B1s are all B1s, and then the B2s are all B2s, and then the droidicas are all droidicas. There's no differentiating those until we get to Mr. Bones. Basically, we don't see that difference. Whereas when it comes to Republic droids, R2 is so different from even like Goldie, right? And way early in the show. It feels like every single one of the Republic droids is almost handcrafted in a way. They all look a little bit different. They move a little bit different. We even see it like in Kenobi as well. Like when we see like there's a 3PO is there, but then there's another protocol droid, and we just see the difference between the two. We see this throughout Star Wars. Whereas these mass-produced, like totally disposable B1 battle droids, B2 super battle droids, they're B2, right?
Yes, they're
Yeah.
B2 battle droids. Yep.
Yeah. It's like there is just like a very basic chip. It's very much like McDonald's versus like, I don't know, a gourmet restaurant. And the Republic is very much into the gourmet restaurant. Takes a little bit longer for them to come out. There's not as many of them, but it's way better in the end. So yeah, like it's there's also comparisons to societal. Hi, Cal. Societal norms of like, you know, if you just buy like a regular mass-produced item versus someone like, okay, you buy a mass-produced T-shirt versus someone like Far Away Factory. I would much rather have the Far Away Factory T-shirt than the T-shirt
FarFarAwayFactory.com.
printed out
all
a
the
million
mods.
times.
Farfarawayfactory.com.
Yeah, I think that's the main difference. Is it seems like there is an amount of care and
Customization and more personality as well.
yeah,
You
versus
can't get that any other store.
exactly.
Scholar.
I don't think there's really much else to add on top of that. I just think for storytelling purposes, it obviously makes sense why our antagonistic droids have this kind of collective personality at best, because it's really only the B1s that get that. Say if you look at the droidicas or the buzz droids like we see in this episode, they have literally no personality besides destroying. And it just makes sense for a kid's show that you have these antagonistic forces to get some action that just are just there for scrap, literally. But obviously our protagonist droids, you want them to feel like they're alive, like they're living, kind of like we were saying earlier.
Oh yeah. Van, what's the main difference between the Separatists and the Republic droids in your eyes?
Yeah, it's basically, I'm just gonna double down on like what all you guys been saying. It's just like, just straight off the bat, like it's how they're treated. Like with the Republic, especially like with in Anakin's case, which I see like the most extreme. Like the droids seem to be more of like companions, rather as like on the Separatist side, they're more like cannon fodder. And then like because of the mass production of them, like Chase said, like they're really just expendable. And I know that like a lot of like some select few on the Republic side do see the clones that way, but it's not to the degree as like how the Separatists see their like especially the B1 droids. So yeah, and then yeah, it's basically just companion versus fodder essentially.
Gotcha. That's a good point. To Hereth or Char, thoughts on the question? You have anything really else to add? I mean, a lot of all three of our guests have really done an amazing job with explaining
Hereth can go
things
ahead.
and stuff
Is
like
it just possible to retweet all three of them?
I think so. I think that's the move right now, honestly, because I mean, I say I haven't said this in a very long time, but back in the first season, you can just tell what the difference between the Republic and the Separatists are with their soldiers, droids. But when you bring it to a droid conversation, it's a lot more. It's even more endearing to see what the Republic does and how they treat their droids in a lot of small situations. Like even in Goldie's situation, Rex is like, "All right, go ahead, get it done. You can do it." And then you have other situations where Grievous is taking out Separatist droids, and Dooku saying, "General, those aren't cheap." And it's just to see those comparisons, the contrasting views on what they can do with droids is just so fascinating to me.
Yeah, I mean, even just with the loss of BZ, like it's felt throughout. It's felt with Meeber and it's felt with the rest of D Squad, and then also towards the end when R2's in the wreckage, like and obviously Anakin and R2 have an established relationship, but it is Anakin's first response is like, get a salvage team out there now, because it is, and Meeber says it multiple times, is like we don't leave a man behind, and he's talking about droids where. Yeah, like the B1s, like if they lose a B1, that's just make another one.
Yeah, it's the Leia mentality. Just never underestimate a droid, and there's more to the droid that meets the eye.
No, yeah, absolutely. And it's very fitting for this arc because the last question of this episode, well, not of this episode, but we still have to get Char's 3 interesting facts and ranking the episode.
Yeah,
Here's
that's
something
silly
to think
segment.
about. We don't really have an answer. So this is more of a hypothetical question. Obviously, we know what happens to R2, but after the Clone Wars, what do you think happened to each member of D Squad?
They are all conduits of the Force, and they are guiding each character that we see in Star Wars in the background, as they are perfection. And Meeber Gascon is beating the crap out of all the characters from the Mortis arc.
Wow.
No, I think Meeber Gascon replaces the father, like the son daughter, like he just
I think that's
becomes
probably
literally the embodiment of the Force.
Yeah. Man.
Actually, if you want a serious answer, I genuinely really hope they come back like Bad Batch season 2 or season 3. Like I want an arc of the Bad Batch having to help like Meeber Gascon defect from the Empire, because I can't imagine Meeber Gascon's gonna be accepted in the Empire very long.
Hell no.
I want that. I think it'd be so fun.
We already know. If you've read Thrawn, we know the Empire's thoughts on alien species.
Yeah, exactly.
With the one exception with Thrawn, he's the one exception, and I feel like the Empire would be like, we have no more use of you. Like just like the clones, they would be phased out.
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna like just clip him or whatever.
I think no, but
they make use of his like his skills for a time, because that's basically what they did with the clones as well. Was just they kept them up until they could replace them fully. So like I agree with you there, but I think Meeber Gascon's gonna hopefully realize that and take his crew out in time. And they join, say, the early forms of the rebellion. I'd like to see Meeber Gascon and Chopper meet. That'd be very cool.
Yeah. I could totally see more. I think the most likely is, I think in one of the live action shows, you will probably go into somewhere where there are quite a few droids, and you will see D Squad there, just as a background. I could totally see something like that happen. I think Lucasfilm as of late has been doubling down on stuff like that. Of like,
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Master Shinube being in the tomb of just like,
Yep.
it's even without seeing the Clone Wars, you understand what's going on. But if you have seen the Clone Wars, like that scene will become
It's a gut
more
punch.
impactful.
It's a gut punch. Yeah, absolutely.
So I could totally see in like Ahsoka or even Andor, like, you know, something that's not necessarily totally related, but just being like, yep, that's D Squad right there, and you know, something you can lean over and like, that's D Squad. That's the best part of Star Wars.
That's our creator there.
Yeah. Ben, where do you think D Squad is now?
Right now, I mean, I can't imagine they were retired after that little mission. So I'm pretty sure like they were eventually like recycled into other roles until the rise of the Empire. My headcanon, honestly, like I want to see like all of the Squadron, Gascon together with like Wolf, Gregor, and Rex in like the Rebels time period. And just have like 1 30-minute episode of them just doing a mission together and just failing upwards the entire time. And then they just go back to base and be like, how the hell did we do this? Or we're successful at this?
Yeah.
Yeah. Or another headcanon, like after like their little mission, R2 just tells them about the spa he was like bullshitting at while trying to get some fruit for Padme. And they just hung around there until the Empire.
Yeah.
So, whichever. But yeah, like, yeah, seriously, like I can't imagine they were just like retired or decommissioned after their little mission. So what, like the exact roles they'd be doing, I haven't thought that out just yet. But I mean, with little droids like these, like I'm sure they're just too stubborn to like not do anything if they're anything like R2.
Yeah, absolutely. Hereth, Char.
I have sadistic headcanon.
Oh Jesus, here we
go. All I know is that they probably were at the Battle of Exegol and all survived, and we're at the party in Asian Claws. So you know.
Totally the route I was going with it. Totally the route. I'm definitely not going the route of Meever Gastar is definitely part of the exemption with Maul and Ahsoka. Got Order 66 because sad Filoni flashbacks, and then all the droids get controlled Rebel style, like in season 3.
Well, actually, Hereth, you must understand this. So in the Imperial hierarchy, it goes Tarkin. No, it goes Vader, Tarkin, Palpatine, and then Meever Gascon.
Clearly, definitely. It's totally not headcanon at all.
He's the emperor above the emperor.
He's the emperor above the emperor. Interesting. It's totally not Order 66 wiped out because
he's the emperor.
So, the last episode, the last PowerPoint slide. Chase, thank you again for doing this. This has been a breath of a breath of fresh air.
I'm happy to do anything for D Squad. As I'm learning how Microsoft PowerPoint works. There's not a lot. We've talked pretty extensively about all 4 episodes. So there's not too much to do. I just want to take a moment of silence for BC.
You are being very silent.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, BZ is one of the greatest droids.
Pour one out. Pour one out.
But on top of that, I think the main reason that D Squad is top tier, simply put.
For the listeners, Chase, would you like to read that?
I think that Meever Gascon and Gregor would make a fantastic couple.
Fanfic is a thing. There's definitely
that
something
has been the D Squad PowerPoint presentation.
There's definitely a romantic tragedy you could do there.
Everybody, give him a round of applause.
That's
great.
It's literally the least I could do for D Squad.
Oh man, that's just fantastic. Fantastic work. Fantastic work. All right. So, Char, head us with your 3 interesting facts.
All right. This little segment. All right. 3 interesting facts about a certain Clone Wars arc that you didn't know about until now. Part 31, D Squad edition. Fact 1, the markings on Gregor's helmet. Clone Commando Gregor's helmet markings are based on the hash marks that Boston Bruins goalie Gary Sheaver stenciled on his mask to denote the stitches he would have gotten had he had not been wearing protective gear. Fact 2. Arbesh signs translated. Other bizarre signage in Pons Aura, the town on Abafar, is the Admiral Snack Bar sign that says "It's a Frap" on the top. Lando Capes, Dr. Evazon Cosmetic Surgery, Abafar Junior Dejarik Club, and it also says "No Wookiees" on the side, because obviously you want your arms. And then it also says "Game Go" and "Adopt a Wampa." And fact 3, this might get a little sad. I saw a few comments about this in the chat. Fact 3, an homage to an angel. QTKT is inspired by R2KT, a pink astromech droid created by Star Wars fans in tribute to Katie Johnson, daughter of Albin Johnson, founder of the 501st Legion. If you're not aware of Katie Johnson, like I said, she's the daughter of Albin Johnson. She
died of brain
she
cancer,
passed
right?
away in
Or-
2005 from terminal brain cancer.
Yep.
And it's hard to say this without choking up a little bit. But the droid, who is now dedicated to the memory of the late Katie, makes appearances at children's hospitals to promote and to spread awareness on pediatric illnesses. Sorry. Though R2KT previously appeared in the Clone Wars movie, QT is a separate droid to avoid having two droids named R2 on the same mission. And there you have it. Those are the 3 interesting facts about the D Squad arc.
Absolutely.
D Squad never ceases to amaze and impact the world in amazing ways.
Yep. So, to end this episode of the Pod Ones podcast, I will go around and ask each guest what their ranking is. But first, Scholar, I'll start with you first, Scholar. Where can the good people find you on social media? And what's your ranking of this arc or episode?
So I don't make content. I'm radio silent virtually on everything. I just interact with the community on Discord mainly. So if you for some reason want to talk to me, then join the server. I guess instead I just want to say that this community is very cool. Like the fact that we can sit here and watch Chase just make a very, very good and touching PowerPoint on D Squad is amazing. And say over COVID and everything that's happened, it's been a lovely, I guess, break from that. But if you want my serious ranking of it, I genuinely think it's Jedi Master, because I think obviously it doesn't necessarily fit in very well with, say, the overarching plot threads of Clone Wars. Like, it doesn't really contribute to any of the films at all, but it does represent, I think, what makes Star Wars special, in that it's just meant to be stupid and silly, but still have these very touching like elements to them, very human, universal qualities that anyone can understand.
Nice. Then, what's your ranking of the episode, and where can we find you on the social medias?
So you guys can find me as Ven_Skywalker across Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. Although Instagram content's kind of lacking, so I'm going to be working on that. For the arc itself, I'd also put it at Jedi Master. Like, it's like you guys said, it is a little goofy and campy at some points, but that's honestly good for kids, especially who grow up with this, because it shows that like even like the smallest or like what's the word, like you don't have to be like a great warrior to like
make a difference.
Make a difference, basically. So like even like the smallest or simplest actions, or being like just like not what anyone expects, like you can do like great things, and then you'll see the effects of it like in the long run. So, and I like also like the extra emphasis we get on the droids, because it just shows like how capable they are. Because I think the only real like astromech content we got prior to the Clone Wars itself was like when they were saving Padme's ship when they were running away from Naboo.
Yes.
But, like pour one out for all the the astromechs that got blown up. But yeah, so yeah, that's all I got.
And Chase, where can the good people find you, and what is your ranking of this arc?
You can find me pretty much everywhere on social media at Forwardintotheblack. You can also find me once a month on Rogue Council with Xanatos1138. And I don't see fully ascended being in the Force on this ranking list. But I will genuinely give this arc. I know we've had a lot of fun. I will genuinely give this arc a Grandmaster because I think it is this arc. I've said this multiple times on the podcast. It's like I finished the Clone Wars all the way through for the first time this year, and I was working at my last job, watching this on my phone, and I think I talked to you, Hereth, first. It was like, D Squad was so good, and then like I found out that no one likes this arc, and I was like, it's such a breath of fresh air in the Clone Wars because I think it tells a fantastic story. I think narratively it's very interesting, but I do think like just where it fits. Hello, cat. Where it fits in the Clone Wars, everything going on and everything that's about to happen. Because we basically go right off of Onderon, which is super deep, super serious. We go after younglings. Fairly deep but very interesting storytelling to D Squad, and then we're going to go into very serious things coming up, like with Mandalore. Is Mandalore in this season? Yeah.
Yes.
Yes,
the Maul
that's
stuff
next. That's next week, actually.
So the pacing of this arc, sandwiched in between everything that happens with Maul and what happens with Ahsoka coming up, I think is perfect. I think it is that breather you need to deal with the stuff that's about to happen. So I think just a great series of episodes that's super enjoyable, super funny, and super heartfelt, but also like the perfectly paced episode for this season.
No, absolutely. Hereth, thanks for joining us. What's your ranking of the arc?
I'm committing to the bit here. Grandmaster, baby. Let's go!
Oh my god.
So good.
You're fitting you're
Grandmaster arc. Let's go, baby.
You're already outvoted.
Wars.
You're already outvoted.
Char.
So just accept it.
Well, I'm gonna give this one a
You've already
young.
lost.
I'm kidding. I'm gonna give this one a Jedi Master, simply because of the fact that just who would have known that four droids, and an 8-inch tall man could work so well, and it's like their dynamic was super fun, and that the droids were the most effective part of this episode. It gives new light to the meaning of droids are more than just machines. So I give this one a Jedi Master.
What's your
Been
ranking
outvoted.
like?
Luke, you've been outvoted, so
Yeah, I got my hand hovering over that Leaf Studio. I want you to know that.
You
You fucked this up.
you know after would you just let me talk? God damn it. I genuinely rewatching this and seeing all those small little nuances and stuff like that. Just writing these questions with Alanis mostly. By the way, she writes all of our questions. Not even gonna try to hide that or anything.
wow, you're
But
getting
when
your
we were watching the arc, it wasn't as hard as I thought it was going to watch this. But now after listening to you all passionately talk about this arc, especially Chase and Scholar, it was a youngling. But I would have to agree with all of the great things that it does. I would say it's Jedi Master. I will give it a Jedi Master.
I feel like this is progress. This is like real progress.
This character development for Luke.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's still not one of my favorite arcs. It's one that I will probably still skip because that's just
But
me.
you do see Anakin get a little angry. That's right up your
Yes,
street.
that
So,
was
like,
nice. That was nice.
Yeah.
So I did get
just,
to see
just
a little
watch
bit
the last
that I
5
wanted.
minutes.
Yeah. But Hereth, where can we find you on the social medias?
You can find me every week here on Thursday again because I just got to get used to this habit of this. Every Thursday going for our Clone Wars arc by arc. Next week we're talking about Maul's ascension to power, and it's going to be. I just looked up and I was like, oh my god, it is the 50th episode for Pod Ones.
Yes.
So it's a big deal, big deal.
Big deal. Come hang out with us. 50 episodes.
Obviously, next week or tomorrow we're gonna be talking about Kenobi episode 5. We're having that round table. So obviously gotta advertise that. Then if you want to find me on social media, if you really care about me, you can find me on Hereth Productions on TikTok and Hereth Edits on Twitter, or Hereth_Edits on Twitter.
Jar, where can the good people follow you on the social medias?
Good people, you can find me on TikTok at CharCharJ as listed right here, but the ranking thing is
Hold on. There
bring
you
my
go.
name back.
There
Yeah,
you go.
that's it right there.
There you go.
And you can find me on the Pod Ones podcast every Thursday night as we cover our Clone Wars rewatch. Next week we'll be talking about the Shadow Collective arc, right, or the Lawless arc.
Maul Ascension arc.
The Maul Ascension. Yes, the Maul Ascension arc. My favorite arc. I forgot the name about it, but yeah, we'll be watching that next week. And you can find me here every Friday night as we cover our Kenobi round table, which tomorrow we'll be having a very long conversation about this week's episode because there's a lot of good stuff.
Yep, absolutely. And you can follow me at the Pod Ones Podcast on TikTok, Pod Ones Podcast on Twitter, and the Pod Ones Pod on Instagram. Like my other two guests, not guests, but co-hosts have said, roundtable tomorrow, Chapter 5. If you haven't watched our reaction, Chapter 5 reaction, go like it, go support us. It's a great reaction.
So I mean, just what you would expect if you haven't seen it yet. If you want to watch Luke yell and like
that's just Luke crazy,
like a 10-year-old
kid. Were screaming. All 5 of us were.
Well, he was mainly.
Yeah.
No, it was all 5 of us. So I was editing.
If you want to watch Luke go crazy like a 10-year-old kid watching this episode, go ahead and watch our reaction.
No, yeah, absolutely. Obviously you can find us here every Thursday. Doing our Clone Wars rewatch. We will be starting Rebels in September. So Rebel stands. Be ready. Your time is coming. You've sat through 50 episodes of the Clone Wars. Your time is coming.
In September, that'll be my 1 year on Pod Ones.
Yes.
Hey.
Yep. So 50 episodes. It's crazy that we're getting this far into it. We couldn't be doing this without everybody here, everybody that supports us. But that's going to be it for this episode. For Light and for Life.
We are all the Republic.
And may the Force be with you.
Always.